I'm Kevin Price. Welcome back to The Price of Business. Talking to you about what's going on out there. I'd like to bring my good friend Marc Krasney on with the Krasney Law Firm to say, what the heck's going out there on the legal front? I think, like the bird in the cave, to make sure that you can breathe in that cave. I think the lawyer in the economy is a great sign of how things are going. He's kind of a precursor of things to come. So how are things going there, Marc Krasney?
Hey, Kevin. Well, I'm always the optimist, so I think things are going well. I was thinking about what we would talk about today, and I thought, just like CSI, they always talk about what's going on in the marketplace. I figured I would too, and use a prime example from my client base for your listeners.
Okay, very cool, very cool. Before you do that, though, talk a little bit about the Krasney Law Firm and how we can learn more about it.
Yeah, you bet. We started our firm in 2007 in response to a lot of the customers who said, over and over, Mark, how can we get you guys on a flat fee or some kind of a basis where we can budget? So I don't get a surprise legal bill. You become part of our management team. I can't really afford you as an in-house counsel, but I want to do, maybe outsource that to your firm. How can we do that? And so we started the Krasney Law Firm, and most of what we do is on a flat fee basis for businesses where we become your in-house counsel, like Exxon has an in-house counsel or any big company. And so while we become part of your management team, we talk about your strategies, your business, and help you plan for the future, and all the while try to avoid any and all litigation.
Very cool. So tell us, bring that thought that you had for us to our audience. Let's talk a little bit about that. Go right ahead.
Yeah, well, many times on this show I'll talk about contracts, reviewing contracts, making sure that when your business grows, you have all the documents in place. Well, one thing that's happened recently is one of my clients had a business that was growing and doing really well, and actually a little bit younger than me. Well, out of the blue, he died.
Mm-hmm.
Now what? He didn't have a will. He has a business that's making money, and the business needs to keep on running. What happens to his assets, both personally and professionally?
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, we get those phone calls from his, wife, the parents, the family. What do we do? Which is a great question that most people don't think about, because most people only do true estate planning, especially for their business, when they're, about time to retire.
Right.
Which most of the time is too late.
Right. Yeah, not only is it too late because, things can happen like this person you're talking about, but there's all kinds of advantages that you could have and appropriate planning you could do early on if you force yourself to think about it early on. I think of stuff like long-term care insurance that's so much better to acquire younger than it is older, that type of thing. There's a lot of different things.
Yeah, well, I can say, too, the easiest thing, the best advice I can give to any listener would be, you don't actually need to hire a lawyer. You don't actually need to have a typewritten pretty will signed by all these different witnesses in Texas. All you truly need to do at the very, very least, it's the most simple way to make sure that your assets go to whoever you want, is to write something down in your own handwriting.
Mm-hmm.
Don't type it. Don't have anyone do anything else to it other than you write out, for example, yourself, Kevin Price gives the following things to these people. So long as that's wholly in your handwriting, that will can be probated just like a will that I would prepare for, a large estate.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's other things to do. We can get much more complex, but that's the simplest thing to do. Well, the client I'm talking about didn't even have that. And so this client dies intestate, which means without a will. Now you have a pretty big uphill battle just to get someone appointed, have the judge review who the next of kin are, an heirship proceeding, get someone appointed. It may or may not be independent. The judge might have to review every single thing the executor does. Those kind of things become headaches for not just the family, but the business, because when that person dies, the assets are frozen that are in the name of the person who's died.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes a huge mess.
Yeah, what a huge
obviously,
mess.
If you have employees, you want to keep the business going, the doors open, and make sure paychecks get sent out. And if the deceased is the only person's name on the bank, now what?
Yeah. At the very least, you need, key man insurance, succession planning, all types of things. Way of properly getting rid of that business in a way that's profitable for the loved one that you left behind. All kinds of things that can only be dealt with planning.
Exactly, and even with your business bank account, what happens when that person dies? Is there somebody else that can sign checks?
Yeah.
Or when that person's gone, now what? Or A lot of times people will come and say, well, I have a power of attorney over this person. Can I sign a check? Well, when that the person who's given the power of attorney is gone, that power of attorney dies too.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very scary stuff, and this is the kind of stuff that people don't want to deal with. But, at the very least, like you pointed out, write a letter. Put it in a place that your attorney has it at the event something goes wrong. As you write the letter first. Maybe you'll build more confidence to have that more lengthy conversation with your lawyer to do more, but do something.
Right. Well, if that person's going to write out their intentions of who gets what, I would actually call that their will. In Texas, that's termed a holographic will. And make sure someone knows where it is, because that actual document can be probated.
There you go. People need to do that. No question about it. So when you talk to you, so obviously you're thinking a lot about that. How young was young for this guy?
38.
And he died of what?
I'm not sure. It's pretty recent, but the idea is
it was something acute. It just popped up from nowhere.
Yeah, it happens. Right.
Well, and everyone, who watched that game, the first half was a game. I'm not sure what the second half was of the Houston Texans. They saw Gary Kubiak, walk off the field at halftime and just fall down,
Right.
and apparently he's had a mini stroke and is still in the hospital. What I hear, he's my age or maybe a year older than me. He looks way, way older than me, but I don't know. I think he's only a year older than me. So it's I'm just joking. He doesn't look that much older than me. But anyway, it just goes to show that what we're talking about.
And the best advice I'd give to listeners would be, let's focus on the business, focus on the contracts, make sure things are up and running well. But we also need to take into account the personal estate. What's going to happen to that person's estate in the event they died tomorrow? Regardless of their age, it could happen. And so in addition to making sure the business and those documents are secure and properly done, let's do the same thing for that person.
All right. Marc Krasney is his name, KrasneyLawFirm.com, Krasney, lawfirm.com. I think having someone like Marc in your corner to help you navigate through the legal issues, I think makes a lot of sense. Always appreciate having you on the program.
Thanks, Kevin.
When we come back, much more for you. You want to remind you, best content here shows up over there at usadailyreview.com. And this is The Price of Business.